Hello, and welcome again to Covenant to Life and the Homeward Bound series. I'm Lloyd Willard.
I'm Tom Winchester.
I'm Roxy Quam.
I hope that you've enjoyed this study thus far. This is part 3 of the Covenant series relating to Abram. Abram would one day be referred to as a friend of Yahuwah and also as a father of faith. As we progress through the study, it's becoming evident that Yahuwah's interest in Abram was not short-term, and that Abram's determination in following the direction that Yahuwah set was unwavering.
As we began writing this series, I really came to appreciate what a large part of Genesis was devoted to Abram. There are 50 chapters in Genesis, and 13 of the 50 tell about Abram or Abraham. So the obvious question might be, why? Why is this man and the covenant that is struck with him so important? One might also wonder if this interaction, which occurred 4,000 years ago, is important to us today. Well, I hope that as this series progresses, these questions will be answered to your satisfaction.
In the previous 2 segments, we have followed Abram along a lifelong journey of a relationship with Yahuwah. Now we've chosen to track Abram's life pretty closely while we've studied the covenant. It has been a journey of trust and a journey of obedience. When we left part 2, Abram had just encountered Melchizedek in Genesis 14 and had received a blessing. Following this, he had been given the opportunity by the king of Sodom to take the booty that had been gained by rescuing the peoples of Sodom who had been taken into captivity. Before we pick up following Abram, soon to be Abraham, let's open by reading together the beginning of Psalm 105.
Oh, give thanks to Yahuwah. Call upon his name. Make known among the peoples his doings. Sing to him. Sing praises to him. Talk of all his marvelous works. Glory to his Kodesh name. Let the heart of them rejoice that seek Yahuwah. Seek you, Yahuwah, in his strength. Seek his face evermore. Remember his marvelous works that he has done, his wonders, and the judgments of his mouth. O you seed of Abraham, his servant, you children of Jacob, his chosen ones. He is Yahuwah, our Elohim. His judgments are in all the earth. He has remembered his covenant forever, the word which he commanded to 1,000 generations. The covenant which he made with Abraham and his oath to Isaac, and confirmed the same to Jacob for a statute, to Israel for an everlasting covenant.
Abram's covenant would be with Isaac or Yitzhak and Yaakov's offspring for 1,000 generations and forever. Did you notice in the course of this series we tend to pronunciate the names different than they're written in English at times? It's just to add some emphasis to the Hebrew language that it gives. Just please bear with us as we do that. It has value. As we advance down this road of covenant, we will see that what we are learning now is foundational in setting the stage for the relationship for all generations following with Yahuwah. Let's continue to learn from Abram's experience. Let us now begin. Let's return to Genesis 15. It begins with this account. After these things, the word of Yahuwah came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am your shield and your exceedingly great reward.
Did Yahuwah just tell Abram that he would be his exceedingly great reward?
Yes, and his shield.
Wow.
Yeah. This relationship is growing all the time.
I wonder what he was thinking at that moment.
All we know is what is given next in verses 2 and 3.
And Abram said, O sovereign Yahuwah, what will you give me, seeing I go childless? And he that shall be a possessor of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. And Abram said, Behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir.
What was Yahuwah's response?
Verse 4. And behold, the word of Yahuwah came unto him, saying, This man shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward the heaven, and number the stars, if you're able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he reckoned it to him for righteousness, we're told. And he said unto him, I am Yahuwah, who brought you out of the Ur of the Chaldees, to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, O sovereign Yahuwah, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit? And he said unto him, Take me a heifer 3 years old, and a she-goat 3 years old, and a ram 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. Verse 10, And he took him all of these, and divided them in the middle, and laid each half over against the other, but the birds divided he not. And the birds of prey came down upon the carcasses, and Abram drove them away.
What's happening here? Is this what Abram's been singled out for?
Let's read on.
And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know for certain that your seed shall be sojourners in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. And they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve I will judge. And afterward they shall come out with great substance. But you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. And in the 4th generation they shall come here again, for the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch passed between these pieces. In that day Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto your seed I have given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenite, and the Kenizzite, and the Cadmonite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Rephaim, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Girgashite, and the Jebusite.
Wow, again. So Abram became a partner to a covenant while he was in a deep sleep. And he was told that his seed would be in a land not their own, serving and afflicted for 400 years?
And a lot more. Yahuwah will judge that nation. They will come out with great substance.
Egypt. Is Yahuwah talking about the future Israelite captivity in Egypt?
It appears so.
Will Abram be part of this?
No. No, his seed. In verse 15, we are told that Abram will rest with his fathers in peace and buried in an old age. So, in verse 19 to 21, we see that there is a landmass committed to Abram's offspring. What do those borders look like?
Here's a map. This area spans from Babylon to Egypt.
Where's the nation of Israel on that map?
Here it is up in the north, this little white section.
Well, when we look at current-day Israel and compare it with the land of which Abram was promised, current-day Israel looks very small.
Israel is only about 60 miles at its widest and 260 miles at its longest. With the current borders, it is only about 8,019 square miles.
How does that compare with the area of Saudi Arabia?
Saudi Arabia has an area of 829,995 square miles. This is approximately 100 times larger. Iran has 831,659 square miles, or 80 times larger.
And much of those countries' real estate is given to Abram and his seed.
Yes.
Wow.
What happens next with Yahuwah's friend Abram now that the covenant has been struck?
This brings us to Genesis 16. Abram has his first son, only not the one who would be the recipient of the covenant.
How so?
Well, I think we all have a tendency to want to place spiritual work in our own control, and it appears that Abram and Sarah were no different. Tom, would you read Genesis 16, verse 1 to 6 again? We'll skip a little to be family friendly.
Verse 1 begins, Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, had bore him no children. Verse 4 continues, And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon you. I give my handmaid into your bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahuwah judge between you and me. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, your maid is in your hand. Do to her that which is good in your eyes. And Sarai dealt harshly with her, and she fled from her face. That didn't take long to go bad.
Well, fortunately for us, our Heavenly Father is more gracious than we are. We'll read on.
Verses 7 through 15. And the angel of Yahuwah found her by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain in the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's handmaid, where did you come from, and where are you going? And she said, I am fleeing from the face of my mistress Sarai. And the angel of Yahuwah said unto her, Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her hands. And the angel of Yahuwah said unto her, I will greatly multiply your seed, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. And the angel of Yahuwah said unto her, Behold, you are with child, and shall bear a son, and you shall call his name Ishmael, because Yahuwah has heard your affliction. And he shall be as a wild ass among men. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell over against all his brethren. And she called the name of Yahuwah that spoke unto her, You are an El that sees. For she said, Have I even here looked after him that sees me? Therefore the well was called Berlaharoi. Behold, it is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son, and Abram called the name of the son, whom Hagar bare, Ishmael.
So, clarify for me, the son born to Hagar is Ishmael. He would be wild and at odds with his neighbors. Is he, or isn't he, the one who would be the seed who would carry Yahuwah's covenant with Abram?
It appears that both Abram and Sarai thought this could work, but the short answer is no. No.
So who and when? It's been a really long time and a really long journey. When will this covenant be moved forward?
It has been moving forward the entire time. It just doesn't feel like it. In fact, we might even say that it feels like it's taking 100 years. In the next module, we'll discuss the account of Genesis 17 and 18. Abram found out how the covenant would be worked out. We'll find out too.
Please join us for the Abrahamic Covenant Part 4, and you, like us, will observe the fulfillment of the long-awaited covenant. Thank you for joining us.
Shalom.